I am diving back into homemaking after some time away, and I have an even greater appreciation now for my role as wife, mother, and homemaker. In this video, I'll be sharing some family-friendly recipes using lots of freshly milled grains, sourdough, and wholesome ingredients. For me, cooking is more than just food. It's about savoring each joyful moment with my family. So come on into my kitchen. I hope you gather some helpful ideas for feeding your people well. Whether you're feeling energized or worn out, I want this to be a place where you feel encouraged in your role at home and reminded that the work you do here truly matters. I'm starting nice and early this morning making some Artisan sourdough bread. I fed my starter last night and now I'm scooping out some hard white wheat. For this recipe, I measured out 450 grams of wheat berries, and then I'm going to mill that. Into a large bowl, I'm pouring 730 grams of filtered water, 200 grams of bubbly sourdough starter, mix that up until it's combined. And now I'm actually sifting my freshly milled flour just to play around with some different recipes. I know that the whole point of milling your own flour is to include all of the parts of the wheat berries, but only a little bit comes out, as you can see, and it really helps when you're making this fluffy sourdough crusty bread to get that texture and fluffiness while still using some freshly milled grains. After sifting the flour, I had about 430 grams of freshly milled flour, and then I continued with all-purpose flour until I reached 1,000 grams. You mix that up and then put a lid on it and let it sit for about 45 minutes. I'll come back to that later, and now I'm just gonna have my morning cup of coffee. I'm really happy to be home. As many of you may know, if you've been following my channel, I've been on a big trip with my sister for the past 2.5 weeks, and I'm finally home. And I've had a lot of time to think and meditate, and I have a lot of thoughts on just the beauty and blessing of family.
It's his breakfast.
Our day is just beginning here. People are starting to wake up, and I have another step to do for this bread. I'm adding 20 grams of salt and 50 grams of filtered water, and then using your hands, just squish it all together so that the salt and everything gets combined, and then just give it a few folds and then cover that up and let it ferment on the counter for 4 to 6 hours, coming back and giving it a stretch and fold every hour or so. My morning smoothie today is half of a frozen banana, some frozen spinach, frozen mixed berries, frozen mango and strawberries, a scoop of vanilla protein powder, and some water. I like it really thick so I don't add too much water. And then there you have it.
That's a good one. Big boy.
We have a dog.
We have a dog.
His name is Chewy.
His name is Chewy. We are having fun with him. We are pet sitting my sister-in-law's dog. And then my other sister, she actually lives with us, and she's going to get her dog, who she's been missing while we've been away. She's gonna go get him tomorrow. And so we're gonna have 2 dogs in this house, which has been a fun change. I do love dogs, but we have never had our own dog. It just seems like more than I can handle at this stage of my life. But, you know, I'm definitely open to it. We'll see, maybe one day. But yeah, it's fun having some dogs in the house for the time being.
I was nervous to come check out my garden, but I needed to come out here to get some things for dinner. It's very overgrown, obviously, because I haven't maintained it for the past 2.5 weeks. But of course, while I was out there, I had to start pruning a little bit and tying up my tomatoes. it's hard to see it and not immediately start pulling up weeds. I have gotten way more relaxed about my garden though. I used to be like obsessively worried about it and worried about the weeds, but I have discovered that even with my lazy gardening methods that things still grow and do really well. And so I've learned to just relax a little. And while I was in Portugal, I noticed that everyone has gardens, and I just loved seeing how everyone is growing things. You don't need to be a master gardener to grow some of your own food. I planted some green beans next to my tomato plants so that I would introduce nitrogen into the soil, and now they're just kind of growing together, which I think is really cool. So I went on this amazing trip. I did the Camino de Santiago. I walked the Portuguese route with my sister. I was gone for 2.5 weeks, and I had some incredible experiences and saw some incredible things. However, I had a lot of time to kind of reflect on the blessings in my life. And one thing that is evidently clear to me is that there is nowhere in the world I want to be more than right here. I feel so blessed to be a mother and a wife, to have a home and a family. While I was having these incredible experiences, I also felt like a piece of me was missing.
My tomatoes have gone crazy.
However, I never felt alone. Everywhere I went, I felt the love of my husband, the love of my children. I felt the love of Jesus all around me. He was guiding our entire trip, and he was speaking to me the entire time on how to be a good mom, how to be a good wife, how to love my family, and how to bring joy into our life and into our home. Life is so short. So if I can make an impact by loving my children well, loving my husband well, by raising children who are confident, happy, and joyful, and who love others, then I will feel satisfied and at peace at the end of my days.
Start cleaning. Thank you so much to the sponsor of today's video, which is Mova. Mova was born in 2024. By integrating advanced AI, Mova is creating products that think and clean on their own, freeing up users from daily chores to make time for what truly matters. Backed by hardcore technology and driven by human needs, Mova is reshaping the home experience. Mova sent me their P50 Pro Ultra robot vacuum, and it couldn't come at a better time. We have been so excited putting this thing to use. I have it cleaning right now, so I'm actually gonna use the app to pause it. That way you can hear me a little bit better. So it comes with a base, a dock system, and the robot vacuum will clean the house and then go back to the dock, and it will actually clean itself and empty out any dirt and dust. It also can mop your house, so you fill it up with clean water and then some cleaning solution that it comes with, and then it goes and mops your house, and it also cleans the mops with hot water and does like a cleaning cycle when it's done. So it's really very hands-off. I also like that the brush is sort of a tangle-free system. You know, a lot of vacuums that we've had in the past kind of collects my hair specifically, and I have 2 daughters, and it starts to just mess with the brush and it doesn't work as well. So this is not an issue with this robot vacuum. It also has these arms that like extend and collect dust from the corners, and the mop and brushes can kind of go up and down depending on what surface it's on. So it can detect the carpet or the wood floor. It's just really, really cool seeing AI get put to work in this sort of way, because for me, it's actually just making life a lot easier. So I'm gonna kind of show you as it goes around my house. There's a lot of fun features, but I've actually already mapped out my house. So this is part of my house that has been mapped out, and I told it for right now just to clean these 2 rooms. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play again.
Proceed with cleaning task.
And now the vacuum has started again.
I love that this vacuum is able to go under all of our chairs and under our kitchen table and collect all of the crumbs after eating. It has a powerful 19,000 PA suction and deeply cleans both floors and carpets. We have set up our vacuum to vacuum and mop at the end of each day, and it's been so wonderful waking up to clean floors each morning. The base station will then remove the mops on its own and clean the whole system.
Thank you so much again to Mova for sponsoring this video. I left a link in the description which will take you to the Mova P50 Pro Ultra Robot Vacuum. That's the one that we have and I've been loving it so much. So I hope you check them out. They do offer some deals and discounts sometimes, so keep an eye out for that. And while my floors are all nice and clean, I'm just gonna relax a little bit and enjoy a break before I have to get started on dinner. So I will see you later.
I'm soaking some brown rice that we're gonna have for dinner. I tend to like it better when I soak rice beforehand, if I can remember. And now my sourdough is finished fermenting, so I'm pouring it onto the counter and shaping it for a bench rest. So this is just when you divide it and shape it quickly into a round and let it rest for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm putting my heavy cast iron pans into an oven and preheating it to 500 degrees. You want those pans to be nice and hot when you bake your loaves. Now I'm shaping my loaves like so, and then placing them into a floured proofing basket, and then I'll cover those up and stick them in the fridge. Colder dough is easier to work with, so the longer you can let it rest in the fridge until you need to bake it, the better. However, any longer than 12 hours, it will begin to get kind of too sour for my taste. Now the oven is preheated. My pans are nice and hot. I'm actually going to turn the oven down now to 450 and put my dough onto some parchment paper, score it, place it into the hot pan, put it into the oven. I'll do the same with the other pan, and I also put a baking sheet on the bottom rack of this oven, so that keeps the bottom of this bread from burning. Bake it covered for 30 minutes and then remove the lid and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes. For my husband's birthday, my daughter wanted to make him a confetti birthday cake. So we did this together, and I love this book from America's Test Kitchen. It's a baking book for children. We used these recipes, and of course I modified them to my taste. I used a little bit of cake flour, and then the rest I used freshly milled hard white wheat flour. But this is a basic cake recipe. However, instead of doing all butter in this cake, we did half butter and half oil because I think that produces a more moist cake. I also really like the addition of freshly milled soft white wheat flour. I think it adds a lot of flavor, and I don't think it turned out too dense. I really, really enjoyed it. Then we added some sprinkles for some fun. My bread is now finished. It looks great. I'm gonna set it on a cooling rack, and you can see that this is a really soft and also crusty artisan sourdough bread. Made with 40% freshly milled hard white wheat that had been sifted a bit for extra fluffiness. Now my cakes are going in the oven. Now I'm making buttercream frosting, and I'm using about half the amount of butter the recipe calls for and adding some almond extract as well as lots of vanilla extract. I think vanilla and almond add such a good flavor to icing. I'm adding some heavy cream, a little bit of salt, and then powdered sugar until I get the consistency that I like. The reason I use less butter is because normally I feel like these frostings taste like butter. And so by cutting that a bit and adding powdered sugar, I think it turns out better.
You want to taste it?
That's amazing.
You like it?
Yeah, wow.
Isn't that good?
It's really good.
I just kept adding like vanilla and almond extract and sugar until it tasted good. Works perfect. Amazing.
My daughter is super crafty and creative, and she wanted to decorate this as a golf cake, and she's actually putting a hole through the layers of the cake so that you can play golf on it and a little cake ball will come out the other side. I think I was skeptical. I think she was skeptical too on whether it would work, but she always seems to figure out a way to make her ideas work.
So Dad has to try and hit the ball in here. And it's going to come out here. Did you know that?
He doesn't know, it's a surprise.
Amber, look at it. Look at the cake.
Wow.
I've never.
3, 2, 1.
Ta-da! All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start making dinner. I'm making a Spanish-inspired dish, Picadillo. I don't know if I'm saying that exactly right, but a subscriber actually commented and left this recipe. She said that she makes it a lot. And since I just got back from Spain, I thought this would be the perfect thing to make tonight.
Are you trying to hang out near my feet? I don't have anything for you.
Picadillo is a simple, flavorful ground beef dish with tomatoes, garlic, and spices, popular in Latin America, but influenced by Spanish flavors and cooking traditions. There are many different versions of this recipe, but they all start with a sofrito of green peppers, onions, and garlic. My kids are getting hungry, so I'm cutting pieces of bread to hold them over while I cook dinner. Here are some of the flavors I'll be using. I left a link in the description to this recipe. I definitely modified it a bit, and I'm also doing a double batch.
Love it. Felicity did such a good job. Ta-da!
To the sauteed veggies and browned meat, I'm adding tomato sauce, cumin, salt, and then giving that a good stir, and then adding chopped green olives and raisins. I'm going to let that simmer and let those flavors develop. I'm rinsing my brown rice. I have 2 cups of brown rice here. I'm gonna add it to the Instant Pot and add 2.5 cups of water and a pinch of salt, and I will cook that for 20 minutes. When it's done, you want to allow the Instant Pot to release the pressure naturally for 20 to 30 minutes. To the meat, I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and a little bit of oregano, and also I think I added a little more cumin and then a splash of red wine vinegar. I thought it needed a little extra flavor, and I liked how that turned out.
Can you turn on the vacuum so that it does the kitchen, so that it cleans the floor in here?
We just need to.
After making a big mess in the kitchen today, I'm just giving it a little wipe down, and then I have the dishwasher running and my vacuum running, and that is how I like to reset before we eat dinner. Here is the picadillo. I thought it turned out really delicious. I do recommend chopping your olives and veggies and everything really small. Or if you're a busy mama like me and you just don't care that much, just go ahead and do what is easiest for you. But this is an easy and I thought delicious meal, and everyone else liked it as well. We were planning to wait until tomorrow to eat the cake on my husband's actual birthday, but everyone was so excited that we couldn't wait.
Happy birthday.
Whoa! Dear Lord bless you. May Jesus and Mary send graces to you. Get it in!
Okay, we'll do it this direction. Okay, you ready?
It's gonna come out right here. Daddy, it's gonna come out right here.
Part 3.
Get a hole in one. Okay, if you get. Can I try?
Hard giant.
3.
This is so good.
Like drips down the side.
Ta-da!
Oh, I saw that earlier. Yeah, that looks so good.
The next morning, the kids wanted to bring Dad breakfast in bed.
Amazing.
Keeping with the Spanish influence, I wanted to make sourdough empanadas. I left the link for this recipe in the description. You start by melting butter and water together, and then once it cools down, you add in a half cup of bubbly sourdough starter, and then to some freshly milled flour and salt. I'm pouring that mixture, and then I'm gonna mix this until it turns into an oily dough. This is the first time I've made this recipe, and it seemed too oily for me, and I wasn't sure, since I was using freshly milled flour, if I needed to maybe add some more flour. So I decided to add a little bit more and give it a little bit of kneading, and worked with the dough a little bit until it seemed more cohesive. And then I wrapped it up in some plastic wrap and put it in the fridge until later in the afternoon when I was going to make dinner. While I was away, I was thinking a lot about coming home and making ice cream. I know that sounds silly, but I was really excited to do this. I followed this recipe exactly from America's Test Kitchen. We have heavy cream, whole milk, light corn syrup, salt, and sugar going into a medium saucepan. The corn syrup is necessary for this recipe, but I hope that as I continue to make homemade ice cream, I can learn some ways to use natural sweeteners and still get that thick, creamy ice cream texture. So you're going to warm up the milk mixture, and while that's happening, I'm using the egg yolks from the cake yesterday, and I'm gonna whisk that together with a 1/4 cup of sugar. You're gonna set that to the side, and once your milk mixture heats up to 175, you can take a cup of that and temper it slowly into the egg yolks. Once that is completed, you can combine that into the saucepan, turn it back on, and heat up that whole mixture to 180 degrees. You want to stir it constantly so that you don't get any burnt areas or clumps. I'm taking a large mixing bowl out of the refrigerator and a small mixing bowl out of the freezer. I put that in there earlier in the day to get those bowls nice and cold. And now I'm pouring most of the custard into the large mixing bowl and about a cup into the smaller one. The key to this recipe is you want everything very, very cold when you churn it. So you're gonna let this cool down, and then you're gonna cover the large one with plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator, and the smaller one you cover as well, and that one goes into the freezer for at least 4 hours. You want it to be frozen solid when you make the ice cream.
But John the Bomb is my favorite.
Welcome to my house after church on a Sunday. I'm gonna go back to making my ice cream now, so I'm dissolving the frozen custard into the large mixing bowl. At this point, you add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I'm using vanilla bean paste because I think it is superior. And then you're gonna pour that mixture through a strainer to make sure you've gotten rid of any clumps. Now the part we've all been waiting for. I took the frozen ice cream bowl out of the freezer, and now I'm pouring the custard into the ice cream machine.
Let me know when it looks really big and creamy and like ice cream.
My kids have always loved watching the cream turn into ice cream. It's such a fun thing to make. While we wait, I'm just freshening up my plant here. I'm taking an end of this plant and putting it into the soil so it can start a new branch there. You want to churn the ice cream for about 25 minutes until it looks like thick, soft serve ice cream, and a thermometer registers about 21 degrees. Then you know it's done. I've linked this ice cream maker in the description. It's very simple and does the job beautifully. And now I'm taking a cold loaf pan out of the freezer, and I'm gonna pour the ice cream into the loaf pan, cover it with some plastic wrap, and press it down to prevent icicles from forming, and then freeze it for at least 1 hour, but it's better if you freeze it for 4, and then it will really be scoopable and beautiful ice cream.
taste this. This is so good. Wow. This is extremely, extremely tasty and decadent. Wow. These are like growing out of the ground. Maybe I should get those first.
So I was planning to use the leftover picadillos to use as the empanada filling, but we didn't have enough. And so I'm making picadillo again, but putting a different spin on it. And I'm using some potatoes from my garden to add to the mixture and just add some filling ingredients to it. I added some beef tallow to the pan. I have 1 pound of ground beef, some onions, a few potatoes. I do recommend that you chop the potatoes nice and small. As you can see, I did not do that, but I just can't be bothered sometimes. And now I'm adding some oregano, salt, cumin, lots of garlic, and just saute it until everything is cooked fully. I added some more oregano as well as some tomato paste. And now I'm mixing in the leftover picadillo, and then this will become the filling for our empanadas. I'm adding some green olives and a splash of red wine vinegar, and this turned out great. So now we're rolling out our empanada doughs. You are supposed to do, according to the recipe, a perfect circle and then seal it by wetting your fingers and using a fork to sort of press the edges down. But of course, that's just not how I cook. I like to do things fast and efficiently. And so we're just kind of throwing this together. It's okay if the shapes are not perfect. We are having so much fun making these together.
You put it in with the others because, you know, little things, they cook faster than big things.
What's that? We're gonna make it. Oh, nice.
My daughter has a fixation with making tiny things, and so I got her this tiny baking set. I'll leave a link in the description. She's used it a bunch. My son got in on the action as well, and they both started making teeny tiny empanadas.
Here.
Dumpling!
Yeah.
Mine looks like a real one.
Okay, let's get back to work. Cute. That's perfect.
Brush the tops with an egg wash and then bake them at 400 for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm really pleased with how easy these were to make. I've been wanting to make empanadas for a while, but it always seems like a big deal to create a pastry dough and a filling and all of that. But the dough was so easy to make, and now my creative wheels are sort of turning on all different kinds of fillings that I could make. It's like an upgraded Hot Pocket from my childhood.
Ice cream! Where's yours? My ice cream! I want mine last
Oh, it looks really legit. It's like real ice cream.
The whole house was abuzz over this ice cream. It was so delicious. Everyone was all hyped up, and we had movie night, and it was a great birthday for my husband.
Yes, beautiful. I'm putting the ice cream in the same bowl. Okay, here you go, Noah.
Was that it?
Yeah, everyone's getting 1 scoop, and we'll see how much we have left after that. Daddy gets 2 scoops.
We gotta eat it right now.
They're so good to me.
I'm watching the movie. I watched
Ice cream is amazing.
And it's basically gone. Bon appetit. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.